if you keep messing up and you keep going back doing the thing that you said you wouldn't do, if you keep reverting back to sin, if you keep um just falling short, like, please give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Like, God gives us grace, so we have to give ourselves grace. But what we have to make sure that we do with the grace, we have to make sure that we are responsible and we steward the grace. I remember I used to always beat myself up about not doing things that I said I would do. I used to always condemn myself, be so hard on myself for not improving, for not doing better, for not doing better today than I did yesterday, for um, really just not keeping my word to myself. And like my family, they'll tell me all the time, you gotta give yourself grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. This, that, and third, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but and then so on and so forth. But eventually, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna start giving myself grace. Started giving myself grace. I'm like, okay, like if God gives me grace, like I need to give myself grace. So I started giving myself grace, and then the grace I was giving myself eventually became an excuse to not do the things that I said I would do. And so I began to question, like, yo, can you give yourself too much grace? Like, I'm giving myself grace, and now I'm not productive at all. It's like, yo, am I giving myself too much grace? It's like, no, you're not giving yourself too much grace, but like, it's not the grace that's the issue. It's what you're doing with the grace that's the issue. And so what happened was I would be the grace, instead of it being a reset, instead of it being another chance for me to do right and do better next time, I would use the grace as an excuse to not to continue to not do what I was supposed to do, and say, oh, I'll get to it later. I'll do better tomorrow or whatever. And so I would say that with one thing, turn into two, turn to three, turn to the whole day. And next thing you know, days went by super unproductive, didn't do nothing I said I would do. And it's because I'm using the grace as an excuse. And so what you have to do with the grace is, it's not the grace that's the issue. It's what you do with the grace. And so we have to be responsible and steward the grace that has been given to us by God or other people. Be responsible and steward the grace that we give ourselves. And so in that way, the grace doesn't become a crutch. The grace doesn't help us to continue in our faults, and help us to continue to fall short because it became an excuse. The grace, if we are responsible and steward the grace, then that allows the grace to now be what it's supposed to be. It allows the grace to be that second chance, third chance, fifth chance, 20th chance, however many chances it is, right? Like there's no limit to grace. And so because there's no limit to grace, a lot of times we can take advantage of it. And we don't understand the privilege of grace. Like, and so we have to be responsible and steward the grace that has been given to us and that we give ourselves, so it actually helps us and it doesn't continue to it doesn't hurt us. And so, yeah, like, please give yourself grace, but don't allow the grace to become an excuse to continue in your faults and to continue to not do what you said you was gonna do. Like, we have to have a level of integrity to our own words. Like, we tell ourselves we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Like, we gotta hold ourselves to that. And in the events that we don't, this is where the grace comes in. Use that, okay, I messed up this time, but now we're gonna do it right the next time, right? Not taking advantage of the grace, right? being responsible with the grace and not um, throwing it to the side or like we have to steward this grace in a manner to which it actually helps us and it brings about the transformation that we want to see, and it actually moves the needle forward. And so, yeah, please, 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 please continue to give yourself grace. No matter how many times you mess up, no matter how many times you keep going back to that thing, keep going back to that sin, or you keep um, just not being integral to your word. Like, give yourself grace, shake it off. Lord willing, He gonna give you another opportunity, another chance to do better next time. Be responsible enough, and steward that grace so that it actually moves the needle forward and it helps you, so that it won't be a thing that becomes a crutch.